Michigan State comes in at number 13 in the preseason Big Ten poll. Is there reason to believe that, hey, Michigan State, they might have the most upside of any low-ranked team?
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week right here at the wonderful Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below if you think number 13 in the Big Ten is too high, too low, or just right for our Michigan State Spartans. Because, guys, before we get to talking about Michigan State hockey in segments 2 and 3, this entire first segment, of course, on your Michigan State football Spartans, because Cleveland.com, if I can get the words out of my mouth, did one of my favorite annual traditions. This is really a bittersweet piece that they come out with around Big Ten Media Days, but it is their unofficial preseason poll for the Big Ten. They poll about 24 voters amongst those that have went out to Vegas to get their thoughts on the upcoming season. And the bittersweet part of it is, hey, sweet football. On the other hand, oh my God, summer's like this close to ending already. Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen the preseason poll, let me run right through it really quick here. Number 1, barely edging out Ohio State, is the Penn State Nittany Lions. They got 11 first place vote. Ohio State, they are number 2. Oregon, number 3, with 2 first-place votes. Illinois, number 4. Michigan, number 5, with 1 first-place vote. Certainly never any bias down there with their media. Number 6, Indiana. Number 7, Iowa. Number 8, Nebraska. Number 9, USC. Number 10, Washington. Number 11, Minnesota. Number 12, Wisconsin. And then here comes a dead heat tie. Yes, it is your Michigan State Spartans who tied with Rutgers for number 13. And then right behind them, the caboose of the Big Ten, UCLA at 15, Maryland at 16, Northwestern at 17, and then Purdue number 18. So, guys, there you have it. Michigan State number 13. And I got to say, look, do I think that they are appropriately ranked right now? As you could probably tell, looking at what I wear every day and what is around me, I'm a big Michigan State fan. I love our Spartans. Come on, who doesn't? I think this is a fair ranking. This is a program that has gone without a bowl for 3 straight seasons. That's not nothing, but it's not just what Michigan State isn't. It's also the teams ahead of them are all pretty solid, right, guys? I mean, sure, Wisconsin, they've got some issues like us, but man, Minnesota, they return a really good defense. Washington, they'll be live on offense. USC, they certainly have the star power to make it happen. Nebraska returns a lot. That's a team that I'm very high on. And as you climb up the ladder, you can see how it might be a tough path for Michigan State to start the season. Hey, you know what? In the single-digit rankings. But, hey, here's reason to believe that maybe this actually could happen. Of all the double-digit ranked teams, guys, right? Like the Wisconsins, like the Rutgers, that maybe Michigan State does have the highest upside. And you guys, hey, you know what? You know what we haven't talked a lot about this offseason? Returning production from last year's team. Now, Bill Connolly, who does wonderful work at ESPN.com, he's the guy behind the S&P Plus, great predictive analytics. He also came out with a piece on this, returning production from last season. And Michigan State, even though there are a lot of headlines about, hey, more transfer portal turnover, oh my goodness, it's another new team on the block for Michigan State. When is it going to end? Actually returned a lot of production from last season, guys. So we're going to focus on that right now because your Spartans returned 66% from last season as far as production goes. Now, that is 16th best in the entire nation. And if you want to just zero in on just the Big Ten, that is 4th best in the Big Ten. Illinois, they're in first place. They returned 75% of their production. That's why, along with being a really solid team under Brett Bielema, that's why they're the darling to maybe, hey, backdoor their way into the college football playoff and why a lot of people believe in the Illini. In second place, Rutgers, they return 71%, and Wisconsin returns 67%. Now, on each side of the ball is we're going to zoom in on a little bit more here because the offense for your Spartans, they return a robust 71% of production, which I got to say, that did surprise me for a little bit here. That is 4th best in the conference behind Rutgers. Illinois and Penn State also just barely beats Michigan State in this stat too. So, of course, like they lost a considerable amount of names that like you and I know, right? Like their running backs from last year. Nathan Carter, K'Ron Lynch-Adams, I mean, two guys that combined for 1,150 yards on the ground. They're not here. Your wide receiver room got pretty much gutted outside of Nick Marsh, like you lost on Torrey Foster, who was your leading pass catcher with 46 receptions. Isaiah Johnson, Jerron Glover, they each had about a dozen catches last year. But they did keep a lot from last year. Again, even though a lot was to do about how much turnover happened this offseason, you still keep your quarterback, Aiden Childs. And it's kind of a joke, but kind of not. Even though he was just a starter for one season here at Michigan State, he is one of the most tenured quarterbacks at their program in the Big Ten Conference. I mean, we said the stat a few times last week. Apologies if you're getting tired of it, but I'll say it again. On Michigan State's schedule, of the 12 opponents, 9 of them are breaking in new starting quarterbacks at their program. I mean, continuity at the quarterback position is not so easy to come by in this day and age of football. So that means Michigan State returns a lot of talent. You return all of your tight ends who has to hit their ceiling this year in order for any of this to work, in order to get back to a bowl game. Your offensive line, hey, depth is the name of the game. We spent all offseason talking about how much depth there is on this offensive line now. Yeah, well, that shows up on the production stat too. Now, this is where it gets interesting because the S&P Plus, they're telling you that this isn't an end-all be-all, right? That just because you're returning 71% of your production on offense doesn't mean you're going to have a great season. S&P Plus projects Michigan State to have the 107th best unit in all of FBS. Not great, but hey, you know what? There's reason to believe. Some new faces, plenty of returning ones. But let's look at the defense too really quick, because your defense returns 62% of the production from last year. That is 5th best in the Big Ten behind Illinois once again. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Northwestern barely edges Michigan State. Now, similar with offense, we saw a lot of overhaul at some positions, right? Like the cornerback position. Complete overhaul. Cal Halliday, gone. Chris Bogle, gone. Anthony Jones, gone. Jordan Turner, gone. That's a lot of guys from your front seven that you were possibly familiar with, that you did see a lot of production out of last season. But it's also who you return. Linebacker position, Jordan Hall, Wayne Matthews. I mean, just in front of them, Jalen Thompson, Alex Van Sumer, and Ben Roberts, the safeties. They're still there. And actually, S&P Plus, it's a reverse of the offense, where I feel actually decent about the offense going into this season. And the defense has a lot of question marks. The defense is ranked 32nd best in the S&P Plus predictive analytics. So look at that. And there is reason to believe it. I know that, hey, we are just, soiling our diaper over the lack of pass rush from last season. For good reason, I like to say. But they were solid at stopping the run. They can get a little bit more athletic at the linebacker position. This upcoming season, the safeties, they come back with plenty of experience and talent too. So there is reason to believe in this defense. It's not just me saying that. It's the computer saying that. So we'll see where Michigan State nets out here on both sides of the ball. But I thought it was interesting that, hey, stacked up not just against the conference, but the entire country, they're returning more production than many other teams here. So other notes, again, just from this Cleveland.com poll, the good news here for Michigan State is that you just face one team ranked inside the top 4. Now, unfortunately, that is the number 1 team. It is Penn State. But you do miss this year Ohio State. You do miss Oregon. You do miss Illinois. Now, there is some bad news here. You are just facing, 2 of these bottom teams. Anyone that's behind Michigan State. We're talking Rutgers, UCLA, Maryland, Northwestern, and Purdue. You face UCLA. You face Maryland at the very end of the year at Ford Field. But, yes, you are missing the Purdues, Northwesterns, and Rutgers. But you can't have a perfect schedule every single year. What is also a little dicey here for Michigan State, I'm going to call this bad news, but this isn't, any shock to us, is that Michigan State will face teams ranked 5 through 9 in the Big Ten. That's Michigan, it's Indiana, it's Iowa, it's Nebraska, it's USC. Guys, of those 5 teams, 4 of those are also on the road here, okay? That's not going to be too friendly for Michigan State. They got to go on the road. USC, Nebraska, Indiana, Iowa. The only home team that you face in those little stretch of rankings right there is Michigan. And in all 5 of those games against teams that are ranked 5 through 9 in the Big Ten, kind of that middle tier of the Big Ten, look, to go back to the S&P Plus numbers, they suggest Michigan State will be underdogs by at least 12 points. Of course, subject to change. All this can and probably will change for better or for worse. But right now, it's pretty steep underdog territory for Michigan State for those tough games. So there you have it, guys. That's a little bit of a blend of the Cleveland.com poll, the S&P Plus numbers here. And we're going to get to that ice arena over there in East Lansing with our guy Jeremy Dewar talking all things Spartan hockey. But first, I need to talk everyone's ears off about Gametime, the greatest ticketing app out there. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day. You suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. Well, that is exactly where Gametime comes in, guys. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without all the stress. And also, it is never too late to save money with Gametime. Their last-minute ticket deals are second to none. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, 50-50. I even encourage a bigger group to come with you guys. Gametime is making it all possible right up until kickoff, the first pitch, the puck drop, what have you. Guys, it is a simple app, not one of these ticketing apps where after 17 clicks, you are wondering where on earth $111 worth of fees just appeared magically. No. It's the upfront cost. It is 2 clicks on your phone, and the tickets are sent straight to you. It is so easy, guys. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. It has been far too long since we've had this gentleman on these beautiful airwaves here. It is Jeremy Dewar of Spartans Illustrated here to talk that Michigan State hockey. And Jeremy, look, I'm a good friend of yours. I think we're friendly. I don't really care about how you feel as a person right now. So let me just start with this, Jeremy. Since the last time we've talked, Gavin McKenna, the wonder kid down between Michigan State and Penn State, well, he goes to Penn State. Isaac Howard, the guy that won the Hobie Baker last year, he's returning to Michigan State, except for one problem. He was traded to Edmonton, and he will sign with the Oilers. However, you also just got Porter Martone, the number 6 overall draft pick in the NHL. MSU has 9 guys taken in the first 2 rounds on their roster next season. So, Jeremy, as a fan, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Try not to ride the highs and lows too much, but the Porter Martone one was it felt really good. It's one that's been the longest brewing out of those 3 stories. So the fact that it was finally complete and done and over with felt really good, and kind of feels like now they still have one roster spot to add someone, but I think they're going to probably go the more practice player type route, like not going to be a big name.
Gotcha.
So this kind of feels like, all right, now the roster's about set, and you can start to turn the page towards next year.
Which is still going to be a solid team next year. And let's start with, the guy that we were just talking about. Let's keep the vibes high right now. Porter Martone, again, number 6 overall draft pick by the Flyers over there. Last year for OHL's Brantham Steelheads, which, by the way, have one of the greatest logos I've ever seen. I truly do love the Steelheads logo. Just a casual 98 points, 37 goals, 61 assists in 57 games. Jeremy, what makes this guy so special as a winger? I mean, what has he got that no one else on the ice will have in college?
One thing is with Porter, you got to start with the frame. I mean, he's 6'3", 205 as an 18-year-old. So he's a pretty big kid to start with. I know if you come from basketball and football, that doesn't sound crazy, but in hockey, that's a pretty big boy right there.
Okay.
And so I think if you guys watched, I know a lot of people don't always love hockey or watch a lot of hockey, but if you watch the 4 Nations Cup over at the All-Star break and the Tkachuk brothers, Porter Martone's going to play a lot like a Tkachuk brother. Some people call him the 3rd Tkachuk brother. He doesn't quite have the attitude or maybe the grind that those guys have, but he's going to be very similar in that he's a big kid. But like them, he has great vision. He can move the puck really well. Great playmaking abilities. So it's not often that you find someone that big that can make the plays that he can make. A lot of guys that get to be this big at this age lean into the fact that you're just big, and you kind of use that to your advantage. And
sure,
maybe you let your hands go a little bit, but not Porter. He kept that up, so that's why he's a top 10 draft pick, and why it took till July to learn what he was going to do, because there was a chance he could play the NHL next year.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was going to bring up next. And this is going to be a stupid question. I'll just get in front of it right now. But sometimes, and this goes for all sports, high draft picks are just based on what their ceiling can be one day. But this really seems like a guy that can come in here, instantly contribute, be a line one guy immediately from the start. Is that kind of what you're expecting here? A guy that is instant impact right off the rip, or do you think there will be a little bit of an adjustment period going into the college game for him?
I think he should come in and be an impact player right away. And that's going to be his design. Like the plan is to be here 1 year. Make no mistakes about it. Like if he's here more than 1 year, great for MSU possibly, but it probably means that he didn't get what he wanted out of that 1 year. So,
sure.
I think that's the plan coming in. And, the biggest difference for him to be ready to contribute here versus the NHL level is just it's only 30-something games. He's got to do it here, not 82. And still, even though the Big Ten is pretty loaded, most of the lineups you're playing are not going to be NHL level hockey players. So you still got to show that you have that separation in you to outperform them.
And you also mentioned too that this is kind of a story that's been brewing throughout most of the summer. Without getting yourself in too much trouble or saying things that you are not supposed to say on record or anything, like how did this whole recruitment come together? Was it solely because McKenna went elsewhere to Penn State and this was just the next man up, or what insight to this whole recruiting saga do you have to lend us here, Mr. Dewar?
It definitely wasn't the spin and move from the McKenna series to the next player on your list. Porter was on campus towards the end of last season. So he'd already visited. He was definitely really the way I kind of looked at it, I always assumed that there was maybe conversations with Gavin McKenna, but you never heard MSU's name brought up. So to me, it was, hey, Porter Martone's number one on the list. And then all of a sudden you find out you are a finalist for Gavin McKenna, and maybe you had more of a shot than you thought. In that world where Gavin McKenna commits here, I don't think that impacts that they would have told Porter Martone he has no spot, but it probably would have impacted things to where he doesn't come here because, there's one puck on the ice at a time. You don't need too much up. So, for me, this was the big name on the list. This was the one that I thought was the one that they could get, and also should be the top of the list of who they want. And then the Gavin McKenna story kind of took over there for about a month.
Of course.
And kind of put Porter Martone back to the side from a fan perspective, but clearly from a program perspective, it never did.
Gotcha.
It's a good job to balance the two recruitments at the same time.
That's tough.
It also shows you too that, again, hockey recruiting could just be so different. A football recruit might want to just lock their spot down in May and get it over with and be done. But Porter had every ability to be patient and wait and see what opens up, and it still worked out in the end.
So Porter isn't the only talented kid coming in or, staying on the roster from last season. And this is from a Twitter account, College Puck NXT. Now, they have Michigan State rated as their top freshman class in the nation. So outside of Martone, who else needs some dap going into next season? What name are we just not even thinking about right now that, you really should be excited as a Spartan for next year?
It's pretty funny that, you have a kid who was 4th overall, but it was the NHL draft before. So
no kidding, right?
Quiet, but Caden Lindstrom is coming in. That's definitely one to be excited about. I think there's caution with that, of course, because, he's coming off a back injury, which is why he is really pursuing the college route to begin with. I think had he been healthy all year in the WHL, there's a chance he's in the NHL next year. And not even talking about MSU or being here. So Caden Lindstrom is definitely one. And then one that I think has just been under the radar for about a year until he finally went first round in the draft was Riker Lee. He's going to be a kid that went to Nashville in the first round. Really was USHL forward of the year last year, rookie of the year. Great player. So he might be one that has to have a little bit of an adjustment to the college game. He's a little bit more undersized.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, that adjustment could be 1 month. It doesn't have to be the full season type of thing. So Riker Lee is probably one that you're going to be excited about. And you can really, if you're someone who gets worried about losing a player after a year, getting excited and he's gone right away, Riker is probably at least a 2 or 3 year guy here. So that's one that you can feel a little bit more attached to as far as a long-term look.
And before this next question, which is going to sound possibly a hyperbolic, it's going to sound like perhaps homerism, but I think that there is some substance to this. Here's the stat here, and this comes from Brad Elliott Schlossman. I was worried about screwing up that last name. That's why I had to read it so slow. But anyway, he tweets out Michigan State will have 9 players taken in the top 2 rounds on its roster this season. Lindstrom, which we just talked about. Martone, we've talked about. Strammel, Lee, Augustine, Sturbach, Nilsson, Ralph, and Sagi. Look, again, 9 guys taken in the top 2 rounds of an NHL draft. I know that we are missing the Hobie Baker Award winner from last year. I know that this team barnstormed in the Big Ten tournament, got upset in crushing fashion as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But Jeremy, here comes a question, like, is it just reality that this is a better roster than even last season, which was a really good roster? Or am I a little over my skis here right now? Am I just reading too much into this 9 players in the first 2 round things?
No, I mean, I think on talent, yes, it's a better roster than last year on talent. And I think you can say it's a more even roster as well with adding who they added on the back end. Like, you add 2 defensemen, but both defensemen you added, one through the transfer portal in Colin Ralph and one through your freshman in Matt Leahy. Both are already drafted. So, you know, like, and you do have a third defenseman that's not going to address that's coming in. But as far as like guys that are going to be in the lineup, you added 2 NHL draft picks. So I think this is a much more even team across all 4 lines, but also between your forwards and your defense, much more even, like NHL ceiling level talent. So definitely a more talented team. But the thing that's kind of be a little bit different now is with the change to allow major junior players to come to the college game. Across the board, there's multiple teams that can say that were really good last year, and are now adding a talent level that they've never added. Like, I know people have asked me, "Oh, is this the best MSU roster ever?" It is, but it's also a totally different world. So, and also it's a totally different world for U of M, for North Dakota, for BU. I mean, North Dakota's got 2 guys that are going to go in the top 5 of the NHL draft. In one class, right? And so everybody has a little bit more of an excitement. I think the difference for MSU is they can look and say, we added a bunch of high-level talent, and it's coming into a team that was pretty much intact, all things considered, from the run last year. So, and with Trey Augustine being the biggest piece to that is still surprising people that he's back. You know, I think everyone assumed he'd be gone. So
certainly.
That's the piece that separates MSU, is probably that returning goaltending piece is what separates them from a Penn State or a Boston College who lost their goaltending.
And with the whole Gavin McKenna situation, you know, not only does Michigan State obviously miss out on that generational player, but he goes to Penn State. Hey, that's in conference. And after that happens, you see something happen with the sports books where, oh my God, Penn State is now actually the betting favorite to win this whole thing. They are 4-1 at a few different places you could look. Michigan State, they are second best at 6-1. What say you? Is that an over-exaggeration, you think, to that one headline that Gavin McKenna is going there? Is Penn State, you think, the better team? Or just when you see the odd shift, just like that with one player, what goes through your head, Jeremy?
I think that there's a lot of people that don't know how to gamble on college hockey that are going to get taken advantage of.
That's right. That's right. I'm right here. They're in the room with us.
That is nothing to undersell Gavin McKenna. The kid's a general. He's going to be great. I think he is going to put up stats like anything. It's the hard part is when you say anything bad about Gavin McKenna, it can feel like you're trying to have a hot take. Like, no, he's going to be really good. And And there's every chance that he's better than Porter Martone if you want to make it seem like it's a spin. But at the same time, like, he's out there less than 25% of the game. He's won, you know what I mean? Like, he's 25 to 30% of the game on the ice. Penn State has always struggled defensively a lot of times. They finally got good goalkeeping last year, and they went on the run they did. But, like, at the end of the day also, they were the last team in the NCAA tournament. So I think going from that to the overall betting favorite was a little obnoxious.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say that, like, come a preseason preview, they would even be the week favorite for me. So,
okay.
You know, no, they wouldn't be, actually. I just going to say that now. They're not going to be my week favorite.
Come on the record right now. Yeah, why not? Right.
Yeah, there's nothing that's going to change between now and then. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of an overreaction. And I think really the other thing too is, like, college hockey, the tournament is so odd anyways. Like, there's great value within the top 8 to 10 teams that you could honestly put a bet on and feel like you got great value there, especially when you consider the Big Ten has not won a national title since MSU in 2007. So with them being the top 3 on the books, it's like you could get the 4th or 5th favorite right now and feel really good about your chances. So
I'll go ahead and out myself. I did not know that stat about how long it's been for the Big Ten. And obviously, like the Big Ten hasn't been around for that long, but teams that play in the Big Ten now, of course, for any sticklers on that one. I thought Minnesota would have done it like 2011, for example.
Multiple title appearances for Michigan and Minnesota, but no win.
What a bummer for both. Oh, that makes me sick to my stomach. Oh, that's unfortunate, isn't it? Huh. Really quick, you know what? Because the puck's going to drop. I think the season starts next week. Is that right? I'm looking at the calendar. Who do you think will win this conference? Why not just go ahead on record, months ahead of the boys even lacing up the skates and just throw it out there? Come on, Jerry, let's go. Is it our Spartans, or you got an eye on someone else?
No, months ahead. I'm still on MSU right now. I don't really feel that anyone put together. I think Penn State is up there with having a great offseason, because it's more than just Gavin McKenna for them too as well. Like, they've added Matt Godowski out of the portal. They've added some talent on their back end through the OHL as well, and getting a top 15 draft pick coming in on the blue line. So they've been closest to MSU, I think, in adding talent this summer. And then we know Minnesota and Michigan are gonna be there as well. Michigan, I think, hasn't added the high end talent, but they've added their biggest problem last year was goalkeeping, and they added a second round NHL pick to come in and do that. So I think all four teams are going to be competitive and play for the NCAA tournament. But at this point, I see no reason with the coaching staff and the roster that's back and Trey Augustine to jump. I don't see any reason to jump someone over MSU right now as we see it. So.
Admittedly speaking, even I just forget about the Trey Augustine thing sometimes, because there was so much drama the last few weeks with, whether it is Isaac Howard, McKenna, Martone. It's like, oh, that's right. At the end of the day, we also got this guy coming back in between the pipes. That's not too shabby. Jeremy, before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, I just need your help, because I've just been mentally wrestling with something as we are at like the midpoint of this summer. But the other day, my brother texted me about the opening game for Michigan State football against Western. We made an annual tradition of this. We always play at Forest Acres East during the day, go to tailgating, and I got so fired up. I'm so excited, but oh my God, summer's ending. That means like we're starting to talk about our tailgating plans for open. So I'm so between the middle of I love summer. It's my favorite season. I don't want it to end, but come on, get me on a Breslin Center parking lot with a handle of Fireball in one hand and a Miller Lite in the other, baby. Come on.
Yeah,
so, I don't know how you can help me with that. I didn't even ask a question there, but
no, I mean, and I feel you, and it's in hockey, August 1st is always a big date, because August 1st is when your rising juniors can start to make their commitments. So August 1st is kind of a holiday in college hockey, especially if you care about the recruiting. But usually you get to have June and July of just guessing, hey, what this year it's going to be kids born in 2009. What are they?
Don't say that. Oh my God! Why would you say that? Oh my!
Right.
You're a bully. Oh,
I know. We're all doing our 2009 shopping list for recruiting, and usually though, June and July, you're just bored. You're waiting for that August 1st. Then they change the rules, and you're recruiting OHL kids until July 21st, and now I've got 10 days to get myself ready for what used to feel like Christmas morning for recruiting. So it's going to be weird. And then, as soon as we hit that August 1st date, it just rolls right into tailgate season come the end of August. But it feels weird. We didn't have a spring game. So that didn't help. And I
mentioned Joneson. Jeremy, this is an awesome conversation, but I will say that little tidbit of that they were recruiting 2009 kids did ruin my entire week. I will be very transparent in saying that.
That's fair.
These kids weren't even 2 years old for Little Giants. That's what you're telling me? These kids weren't even 3 for the Hail Mary against Wisconsin. I'm going to go coffin shopping after I hang up this call. So thank you for that.
Nope. I had to coach a group of hockey players over the weekend. That was 2006 to 2008. And the 2008 defenseman wasn't alive when MSU won the national title. So I'm really old. I'm really, really, really old. And there's no good spin on that. I'm just really, really old. And Matthew McConaughey made it seem a lot cooler when they stay the same age, but it's not.
No. Well, with that, guys, not only is death inevitable, but also is the next episode of Locked On Spartans. We do this 5 days a week here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Oh, my God. go look for burial plots after this. Oh, my time could be any minute now. 2009 recruiting. You got to be kidding me. Jeremy, you're the best. You do fantastic work. Same with everyone else at Spartans Illustrated. Now, gang, just like I said, we'll be back. We do this here. Locked on Spartans, your team in green and white. Love you all. Even you, Jeremy. Go green.